Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "Our challenges are common, so are our opportunities. Connected machines, digital revolution, and new tech laying foundation for next-generation global growth. G20's efforts should be for zero tolerance for corruption and black money, zero barriers and full commitment to action." Unquote. Hello and a very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching our special presentation on G20. In this edition, we'll explore how the G20 works, the origins and India's role in G20. So come along. The G20 is the world's most influential economic multilateral forum. It acts as a global agenda-setting body that guides international financial institutions, develops and enforces rules of global economic governance. The importance of the G20 can be understood from the fact that collectively, its member nations account for 85% of global GDP, 75% of international trade, and 60% of the world's population. The G20's agenda is driven by two channels, the financial track and the Sherpa track. The financial channel consists of finance ministers and central bank governors from all G20 member countries, especially to address a number of issues related to the financial sector. The Sherpa track, on the other hand, addresses other issues that are outside the purview of the financial sector, as well as prepares various documents to be discussed at the summit. Therefore, Sherpas are generally appointed directly by the heads of the government of the member countries and are seen as their personal representatives at various G20 meetings.
दुनिया असाधारण बदलाव और अनिश्चितता के दौर से गुजर रही है। बढ़ते जियोपॉलिटिकल तनाव ने ग्लोबल गवर्नेंस पर गंभीर दबाव डाला है। मल्टीलेटरलिज्म और रूल बेस्ड इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर को एक तरफा प्रवृत्तियों या संकुचित समूहों द्वारा तेजी से अलग थलग किया जा रहा है, जिनका प्रतिकूल प्रभाव हर जगह बड़ी संख्या में लोगों पर पड़ता है। इसे हम नॉन यूएन मैंडेटेड सैंक्शंस और संरक्षणवाद की राजनीति में देख सकते हैं।
G20 is a forum for economic, financial and political cooperation. It addresses the major global challenges and seeks to generate public policies that would resolve them. Together, the G20 members represent 2/3 of the world population, 85% of the global gross product, 75% of international trade, and 80% of global investments in research and development. Because the G20 is a forum, its agreements or decisions have no legal impact or validity, but they do have a strong contribution in terms of influencing countries' policies and global cooperation. The G20 is small enough to allow concrete and comprehensive face-to-face discussions that adapt to the new challenges of the international agenda and is large enough to represent the vast majority of the world economic production.
The presidency of G20 rotates every year among its members, with the country that holds the presidency working together with its predecessor and successor, also known as Troika, to ensure the continuity of the agenda. Currently, Italy, Indonesia and India are the Troika countries. The members of the G20 are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, the UK, the US, and the European Union. Spain, as a permanent, non-member invitee, also attends leader summits. There has been a tradition of inviting a few non-G20 member countries as guests, as well as international organizations. These countries vary from year to year, except Spain, which is a permanent invitee. Regular participants in the G20 processes are the IMF, the World Bank, the United Nations, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the World Trade Organization, the International Labour Organization, and the Financial Stability Board, as well as the countries holding the presidencies of the regional organizations such as the ASEAN, the African Union, the Development Programme under NEPAD. The incumbent presidency may invite other countries for G20 meetings and summits. The G20 presidency rotates annually according to a system that ensures a regional balance over time. For the selection of the presidency, the 19 countries are divided into 5 groups, each having no more than 4 countries. The presidency rotates between each group. Each year, the G20 selects a country from another group to be president. The G20 does not have a permanent secretariat or headquarters. Instead, the G20 president is responsible for bringing together the G20 agenda in consultation with other members in response to developments in the global economy.
This forum was formed as an effort to find a solution to the global economic conditions hit by the global financial crisis in 1997-1999 by involving middle-income countries and having systemic economic influence.
The G20 was founded in 1919 with the Asian financial crisis as a forum for the finance ministers and central bank governors to discuss global economic and financial issues. The G20 was later upgraded to the level of heads of state, government, and was designated as the premier forum for international economic cooperation. Since 2011, the G20 summit has been held annually under the leadership of a rotating presidency. The G20 initially focused largely on broad macroeconomic policy, but it has since expanded its ambit. The last 3 summits were held in Washington, D.C., London, and Pittsburgh, respectively, setting the stage for some of the most durable global economic reforms, such as blacklisting states in an effort to tackle tax evasion and avoidance, provisioning stricter controls on hedge funds and rating agencies, making the Financial Stability Board an effective supervisory and watchdog body for the global financial system, proposing stricter regulations for banks, and helping avert a shift to protectionism in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. Since then, the G20 has reinvented itself by widening its agenda to include issues such as climate change, health security, food security, nutrition, tourism, digital economy, education, employment, energy, migration, anti-corruption, and sustainable development goals.
Equally important is to keep our focus on fighting climate change. Climate change must be fought not in silos, but in an integrated, comprehensive, and holistic way. Inspired by our traditional ethos of living in harmony with the environment and the commitment of my government, India has adopted low carbon and climate resilient development practices. I am glad to share that India is not only meeting our Paris Agreement targets, but also exceeding them. India has taken concrete action in many areas. We have made LED light popular. This saves 38 million tons of carbon dioxide emission per year. Smoke-free kitchens have been provided to over 80 million households through our Ujjwala scheme. This is among the largest clean energy drives globally.
India inherits a presidency full of challenges from Indonesia, including the increasing inability to agree on basic communiques as a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. This allows India to provide global leadership and statesmanship at a time of acute geopolitical and geo-economic crisis. India's G20 presidency and hosting it in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir would be a watershed moment in history.
As a founding member of the G20, India has always used the platform to raise issues of vital importance, including those that impact the most vulnerable around the world. This is an opportunity for New Delhi to push the Indian narrative. India's achievements in sectors like consent-based digitization, digital payments, vaccination efforts, championing vaccine equity, digital public goods, digital empowerment, and demonstrated success in the field of open source applications like CoWIN and open architecture digital payments through UPI. The resilient health infrastructure, among several others, has been phenomenal. Such unique stories need to be told to a global audience by India.
This year, later this month, India will be taking over the presidency of G20. The Troika in that case will consist of Indonesia, which is the current presidency, India, which will be the forthcoming presidency, and Brazil, which will take over the presidency of the G20 after India, which means that these are three developing countries which are going to form the Troika and which will have could make a huge contribution in determining the direction and the pace of activities and decisions that the G20 takes.
At a time when the world is getting polarized and the contestation among major powers is increasing by the day, the hosting of the G20 by India will be an important marker in the way the global multilateral order can be set up. This will be an important occasion for India to host conversations on a range of global issues where India will try to bring important stakeholders together to talk about issues as diverse as security, trade, multilateral future, climate change, and of course the broader issues of wider global governance. And this means that emerging countries, emerging powers, and established powers can have a conversation on issues that demand the attention of our times.
During its presidency of the G20, a group of 20, on top of India's focus will be innovations, solutions, and preparedness to tackle health emergencies. The path to global recovery requires stronger collective cooperation that ensures equality of global health standards and closer collaboration to ensure the global community's resilience towards any future pandemic. India is committed to protecting global health and making sure to leave behind for the coming generations a better and healthier planet. India is committed to contributing immensely to creating a future-ready and resilient global healthcare ecosystem.
It is important that the agenda is not lost sight of considering that pandemic presently appears to be in control. There is a need to consolidate the efforts taken by G20 countries and ensure that, learning from ACTA, we should help create contour of permanent medical countermeasures, platforms and availability of safe, quality and affordable diagnostic, vaccines and therapeutics is ensured that VTD, R&D and manufacturing hubs. Chair, G20 under Saudi Arabia's presidency had prioritized digital health, innovation as an enabler for strengthening and improving healthcare service delivery and value-based healthcare. The need of our is to ensure that use of technology is promoted as an enabler for achievement of universal health coverage and sustainable development goal.
India is today the fifth largest economy. It is the largest, it is the fastest growing major economy in the world. The managing director of the IMF in one of her recent statements said that in this hour of dark and gloom, India shines like a beacon of hope. There are many challenges that confront India as it moves into the presidency, whether it is the Ukraine-Russia conflict, or it is the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still being felt around the world.
The global economy is undergoing recessionary pressure. These are due to challenges posed by the Russia-Ukraine tensions, China's recent aggression against Taiwan, and the consequent global supply chain disruptions that have inflicted a state of flux on global trade. What was once bright and promising, which had enabled the world economy to grow and to lift vast segments of the population above the poverty line, has now slowed down. 5 big substantive challenges the G20 needs to address includes rising unsustainable debt of a large number of middle and low-income countries, continuing significant underperformance in the delivery of the climate financing pledged by wealthy countries who have historically disproportionately negatively impacted the environment over a longer period of time, fiscal and other challenges of the green energy transition, appropriate Bretton Woods institutions reform, and global food security. The G20 cannot be a panacea for the world's problems, but over the past 10 years, the G20 has been an important forum for international cooperation. Effective global governance like the G20 is essential as rising powers seek opportunities to influence and contribute to the global order. The G20 must strengthen the partnership with international organizations such as the IMF, the OECD, the WHO, the World Bank, and the WTO, and delegate them the task of monitoring progress. Global cooperation should be given priority over individual interests for the benefit of all the member countries.
The UN is too large and busy addressing pressing issues of global concern, and the G7 is seen by observers as elitist. It is the G20 that offers a mix of the right substances through its constituent matrix. Well, viewers, that's all I could pack for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye from my side.